All right, Jenny, I think we just go ahead and get started. The rest of the
Let's
folks will
do it.
pop in. So,
Great.
yeah, welcome everyone to Purposeful Play Paves the Way for Confidence in Learning. And on our session today, we are going to give you a chance to play while we play as well. We just don't have enough opportunities where we can have a good time to play no matter what learning environment it is. So today we're going to give you a few strategies. Let's go ahead and move on, Jenny. I am Dyane Smokorowski. Everybody calls me Smoke. It's a lot easier to remember, but I am an instructional technology coach in Andover, Kansas, and I'm also the 2013 Kansas Teacher of the Year. Jenny, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm so honored to get to be here with you, honestly. So Jenny Nash, and I'm with Lego Education, and I head up our education impact team for the U.S. So really focused on working with schools and districts to bring great learning experiences that are very playful.
And we are excited to have you with us today. And you should see at the bottom of your screen the chat. We welcome all your questions in that chat or comments. So feel free to pop in, and we'll be watching that and answering as we go along. So don't be afraid to pop in. You know, friends, the challenge that we're facing for this school year is trying to understand those implications. That's what I'm looking for the future of our classrooms. And we know that with that, we're still trying to figure out what the future might be. None of us have a crystal ball of what our schools will look like just yet, but we do know that what we can set in place of all of that is that learning needs to rapidly adapt in those spaces. And we all know what great pedagogy looks like. The delivery of it shifts just a little bit in a virtual space, but the concepts of great thinking and creativity are still the basis of all of these places. So we're going to be playing a little bit on how we can devise strategies to include play in hybrid environments, no matter where students are. And as we jump on, Jenny, I also want to keep in the mindset that our shared ambition here today, that we're going to collectively be a part of this, is that we need to reimagine learning so that our students can be future-proof. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to challenge you folks here in the chat. If you could be so kind as to put in what you believe it means to be future-proof for our students.
It's a really
great question. What do you think that means?
Yeah.
And the rest
It's a
of the
really
friends
great
are
question
joining.
to ask today, especially with everything that's so unknown for the future.
The challenge for those who are just joining us, what does it mean for students to be future-proof? Brad says tech ready. Michelle Pearson says to be brave. I really like that, Michelle. Who else can tell us what they believe? Able to handle whatever is thrown at them. Ah, Jenny, I like that one a lot.
I like that
and problem solvers. Julie's throwing that one in the mix. And well, what more? One more. Jerry is saying to be confident in their own decisions. And Jenny, I think all of these are the right answer. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think they're fantastic. And, you know, I might throw in curiosity. I mean, we want students to know how to be curious about that future and thinking forward a little bit with it.
Indeed. And the idea is to be future-proof and future-ready are similar in the idea that no matter what comes up, that they're able to be innovative in those spaces. And, you know, something that was really relevant to me in this past spring is that students, a lot of agency was taken away from them. They didn't have a lot of voice and choice. And the creativity was offered, but it was just such a rapid change that it was difficult to make that happen. So if we focus in on the idea of how do we design learning experiences where students have agency, where they have voice and choice and they get to create and they get to problem solve, we are setting them up for that whatever featured career that might be. So absolutely. Let's go ahead and move on, Jenny. Now, the other piece is building knowledge is always going to be important. We are talking about STEM and the language rules, the content that we have to cover in the classroom, the things that we have to assess. But the future is also calling for those complementary skills of critical thinking and creativity and collaboration. And I don't know about you, Jenny, but when I think of creativity, Legos is one of those tools that comes straight up to my mind. And I'm wondering, for those of you in the chat, can you confess, are you a Lego fan? Do you have some Legos in your house? Because these are forever tools.
That's
You're
right.
never too old for Legos. And there, Jerry said, yep, she's definitely one. Karen's got a few of these as well. Oh, I
don't think we're going to have trouble finding everybody to get bricks in their hands today.
That's right. And Carrie, she loves using Legos with students and colleagues. I agree. And there's something you just can't help but play with them. That's just a big part of that as well. And they're great to fiddle with. I think it's a little bit of that. But we want students to play and explore, and they will learn through community collaboration and communication how to be those world problem solvers. So let's jump on. Move up one for us, Jenny. There we go.
There we go.
What do you love about the confidence piece that comes from Legos, Jenny?
You know, I love that we can all be successful with it, because everyone can put bricks together and create something. And whether what I create, if I try to tell you this is a dinosaur, I could talk about it and convince you that it is a dinosaur, because in my heart, I created it to be that. And so it brings me confidence in thinking about my own ideas and bringing them to life, whether you understand them or not. And then I can explain them and bring that.
I love that as well. And we kind of talked about this. Kim in there said that she found Legos from 30 years ago in her house. A lifelong creator and a lifelong learner. That's a part of it. And Jenny, we might need to do a little playing, don't you think?
I think we might need to do a little playing. So let's see if everybody's got bricks nearby. I have 5 different colors, and they're just a basic 2x4 brick. As Diane said, we can also use our colored pencils or markers or crayons, or you can just draw something if you want on a piece of paper, and we can do it that way. But let's get playful for a minute, because we want to build confidence and we want to think about how we can soar into the future. So Diane, how about we challenge everybody to build something that flies very quickly, very short, and again, I'm just going to use these very basic bricks to still build my something that flies.
Build something that flies.
And
friends, if you've got bricks at home, this is your chance to play. If not, sketch a little doodle of something that flies.
Let's build a little something that flies. And you know, Diane, the reason I thought about that is this idea that we could all tell a story about where we would want to fly to.
Ooh,
so we could think
like
about
that.
What we build to fly us somewhere, and where we would want to fly to get there. Where would we want to go? How would we get there? Where we fly off in our little flying machine.
Good thinking. Well, yeah, I'm really curious.
It just opens up a story for us to tell, which is so great.
I'm really excited to hear what the folks said. If they could go somewhere, where would they go? Let's put that in the chat. Oh, look, we look very similar. Yeah. What did you build, Jenny?
I built my little plane.
I built a plane as well.
Wings flying out.
All right, in the chat, how many of you built planes? You can use a little hand tool to raise your hand. How many built planes?
They're still building.
Oh, there's got a kite. We got a couple of planes.
Space shuttle.
Spaceship.
Oh, that's a great one.
And the space shuttle.
They're going on a big trip.
And you know, now that we've been watching the SpaceX team, they've just reached the middle of their flight journey. So it won't be much longer. They'll be coming back and telling their stories.
That's right.
But where's your event going? Where's your build going?
My plane is going to see some friends that we haven't gotten to see recently.
Oh, that's a great idea.
My plane is full of lots of fun things to play and treats to go see friends. How about you, Diane? Where?
Well, For those of you who know, I'm a super fan at Disney World. That's where I'd be flying today. Today is the day that some of the cast members got to go back into the parks, and I've been watching that pretty closely on social media today. So I would be in the Magic Kingdom. That's right.
Oh, that sounds pretty good too.
Oh, someone's going to Alaska, and one's going to
Alaska,
Amsterdam.
beautiful, beautiful.
And Lisa, if you're going on the space shuttle, where are you going? To the moon? Space station? I'm curious. Oh, play with the grandkids, Kim. I like that idea too.
Yes.
Oh,
Right.
she's going to the ISS. Good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Good choice.
All right, let's move on, Jenny.
So I think that is a great way to kind of get us started and introduced into this idea of who we are, Lego education. And many of you are probably familiar with Lego. It sounds like many of you are very familiar with Lego bricks. But maybe not so much with Lego education. So we thought we might just take a minute to introduce you to us and get to know a little bit more about what we offer. Because we're really focused on hands-on, playful learning STEAM experiences that are based on the Lego system of bricks. Bringing that through multifaceted solutions for students and their teachers in early learning, primary, secondary education, and really into after-school programs, competitions, and even colleges as well. So quite a few different ways that we want to bring learning to students. These solutions, they really create an environment where active collaborative learning can happen to build confidence and skills for students' futures, and really to be lifelong learners and just love lifelong learning. I think we've already brought that up, Dyane. It's just so important to help students think about how they can continue to learn throughout their life. And how do we deliver these experiences? So I think when we look at the how, you can kind of see that we have a real continuum of learning that's happening. We want to start with our very youngest, earliest learners and continue to challenge them as they grow year after year, all the way up through high school. As students progress from one level to the next, we really want to think about that continuous connection into science and engineering concepts, thinking about computational thinking skills and computer science concepts, all of that they're learning, and tying all of that together in a way that they can begin with even the simplest structures, explore operations of simple machines, go into motors and sensors, and then even go to the end into programming the most advanced automated machines. So we really want to challenge students to have all of these experiences through project-based approaches that loop skills and even help them develop the understanding of processes. And know that it's iterative. Learning is continuously happening, and you're continuously building that over time.
Indeed.
So, with that quick introduction, then we can really talk about the powerful stuff, if I can get the slide to change, which is really this idea of learning through play. So we've really worked and looked at the resource and research around, what is playful learning? And it really is this idea of the power of learning through play that happens. And you can see all these wonderful benefits for students as that happens. And we invite you to check out a lot of the research that is around learning through play. There's a great Learning Through Play at School research paper published by the LEGO Foundation that's available on their website that you can check out and really see how powerful this can be for our students. And when we think about it, the evidence really supports the positive impact on child development and how strong that is. Here you can see that there's 5 characteristics of learning through play, and really the benefits that come from those 5 characteristics. But I want to cautious that, we need to be very cautious, Dyane, I think, because we're kind of in a place right now where we could lose this meaningful play if we tend to go a little bit more towards an emphasis on skills and structure and being kind of readiness for being back to school. So we really have to think about how we keep this play alive. So when we think about LEGO education and what we're really focused on and what we believe, it's this idea that experiential learning can bring these meaningful, joyful activities that engage our students as hands-on learners and really support learners in acquiring this knowledge. So we want to really keep that alive. And then additionally, just some quick research to look at as a snapshot of how learning through play gives students greater confidence in their ability and ignites enthusiasm for lifelong learning. So as you can see from this data, and this is from teachers, students, and parents, that really everyone's looking at hands-on learning as a confidence builder, and that it can help us retain knowledge because students are really experiencing the learning as they're going through it. So they're not just trying to remember topics, but they're actually connecting that learning through the experience they have as they're going through it.
And Lisa just popped in, but she's talking about how she's worried because we aren't going to be able
Yeah.
to share art supplies. We're not going to be able to share toys and things. And we've actually got some things to help with that for you. And we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But one of the things that I think would be really interesting at this point is I would be interested for you to take your bricks or your doodle items, and I'd like you to build what you imagine your desk will look like this year. What will your teacher desk look like?
That's an interesting one.
And it might be very abstract. What will your teacher desk look like?
It's a good question. And I think Lisa's concerns are valid, right? Because how do we keep this alive, knowing that it's a little bit unknown? Yeah, I think Michelle just said it. It's a little bit of a question mark.
Right? What will your desk look like? And, what'd you come up with? Jenny, what'd you come up with? Oh, you put the question mark up there. How many of you did the question mark?
Question mark. Right.
Oh, that's a good one. And Carrie's use a table, an antique table. Yeah. I actually made a pair of shoes because I think my desk, I'm going to stand this year. That's the difference that's going to happen. And that one, but I'm going to be up and moving. And whether I am at home, if I'm at school, if I'm doing outdoor learning with students, because I really hope to do a lot of that, of taking students outside to write and read and create, then I'm going to need some shoes. And that's going to be my desk for this year. Kim was talking about a stall structure and lots of table stuff. Yeah, tabletop for all of our things. That's a good idea. Right. Let's talk about this idea of the using of the Legos, though. I know that there's this great idea that if we have this idea of them being used, to think of the hybrid environment, right? That you could use devices like these or toys, Legos, for a couple of days, let them sit for 2 or 3 days, and then you can use them again. What are some other things that we can do with that, Jenny?
Yeah, I think that we really have to be thoughtful about that because we know we can't just put manipulatives away. We can't just put these things away and take them from our students because we lose all of this, all of these great things in building confidence and learning through play and STEAM experiences. So, I think we have to just consider, how do we continue to collaborate if we don't both have our hands on the bricks? So Dyane, I mean, if you put your bricks down for a minute, I could build something and we could dialogue around it, and you wouldn't necessarily have to have the bricks in your hand right away. So let's see if I just quickly put a few things together and hold this up.
Got it.
And you've got to look at all the different sides because it looks different from the top and the bottom. And so even in that moment, while I built first, we could have a nice dialogue to understand, Dyane, what do you think? Why do you think it looks different from a side view than a top view? And we can have a nice dialogue.
And I'm trying to duplicate it. Can I match that?
You can duplicate it. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the power that we have to consider. It's not that you and I both have to put our hands on the same bricks. It's that we can take those manipulatives and challenge each other and do things together, that we still dialogue while kind of having that safety and the fact that we're not having to collaborate necessarily in the materials themselves. And I think it opens up a whole lot of great dialogue and learning and sharing and questioning and feedback from each other that we even sometimes miss because we're so busy just trying to create the structures themselves. And so from that design engineering lens, then we can take away the power of how we can make it better by not necessarily each touching it. And so there's so many great collaboration options just like that we want to share with you all. And we're going to point you to a place where you can find some of our suggestions, and then invite you to be a part of a community where you can share with lots of other teachers, of course, and see what they're saying as well, so that we come back to this idea of how do we continue the playfulness? How do we continue the STEAM learning? And we don't lose track of it just because we can't put our hands on the same manipulatives.
Indeed. And another thought that just pops to mind is that we could also be doing math here.
Oh,
Where
absolutely.
I'm calculating the 4 bricks at 8 spots and making 32 of those. You know, we can do all kinds of things. We can play together and all of that.
That's right.
Engineering, absolutely, Michelle. That's a big
Absolutely.
part of it.
It's a great call. And I think that when you start getting into more of the, you know, coding and robotics elements, get away from just the bricks themselves and get into coding. Now I can be building something and you have to code it. And again, we're having to come together to make that work. Is the bug in the build? Is the bug in the code? And then we have to really figure that out. And it just pushes our thinking skills so much further, because I can't just grab the computer from you and fix it. I have to talk you through how to do that. So the learning elevates in what it actually pushes us to do, I think.
I think there's going to be some magical things happening this year is what I think.
It's exciting for sure. Very exciting. So you know, this kind of brings it all together, I think, and we spoke to the fact that it's being very purposeful in the way that we approach this play that's so important. You know, there's being playful and being curious to really unlock, you know, what's inside of us and let us kind of bring our stories out. And then there's being purposeful to ensure that we have the ability to create something that solves a problem, and pushing those problems forward, and pushing us to have to be a little bit more resilient and pull from our emotional intelligence as we're doing that. And that's where we can take play, I think, and elevate it really to the next level for sure. So let's do that. I've got a good challenge for us, actually.
All right.
Okay. So everybody's got hopefully some bricks or something. At the very least, you could write the colors down in order, I think. And I'm really going to push your thinking skills now. So you've got, okay. I've got 5 bricks, Diane, that are yellow and kind of a magenta, violet, okay. color, a red, a green, and a blue. Those are the colors I have. It's okay if you don't have exactly those colors. You can just, you know, get close, or kind of write it down. And I'm going to give you instructions. We're really going to test Diane on this one. So this will be good. I'm going to give you the instructions and see if you can match my stack. We're just going to stack them. We're not going to get fancy. It's just a straight up stack.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to start with the blue brick.
All right. So everybody's got at least 1 brick at home in their hand. Okay. Okay.
We've got a blue brick, but I'm not going to show it to you the whole time. I'm really going to challenge you.
Okay.
And I'm going to use my green brick. I'm going to put that on top of the blue brick.
Got it.
So the green brick's going right on top of the blue brick. And then I'm going to get my yellow brick. And what I'm actually going to do is put that on top of the green brick.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get my red brick. And I'm going to put that under on the bottom of the blue brick.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take my kind of violet magenta brick. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put it on top of the yellow brick, perpendicular to the rest of the stack.
Okay.
And that's all 5 of my bricks. Diane, was that all 5 of your bricks?
That's all 5.
All right, let's see how we did. So here's the big reveal. So my stack looks like this. And yours is pretty close. Mm-hmm. In the right order.
Not bad.
Not too bad, not too bad. And again, a very simple thing that we can do to kind of push our thinking, and we can then make it very, very difficult, because now I could change the orientation of more of the bricks. We only did 1 brick oriented differently. We could add additional bricks. We could add certain types of vocabulary words that we would have to use to do that. But I'm interested if anybody else in the chat also was able to kind of get their stack or colors written down in the same order as what we came up with.
All right. If you put it in the chat, if you were able to make the magic happen.
Did anybody get the magic?
Or you can raise your hand either way.
They're still thinking about it. Now they're just looking at my stack and cheating. That's what they're doing.
Made it happen.
Right. Yeah. We got a couple.
Can I put a challenge out then? Can we try it again?
Yeah. You want to do, you ready for a really big challenge? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do our stack one more time. So this time I'm going to give you 1 clue as we go into this. The green brick has to somehow connect with the blue brick.
All right.
Okay? That's the only hint I'm going to give you in this.
All
The
right.
green brick and blue brick somehow have to connect. So I'm going to take my red brick and I'm going to put it under my blue brick so that I can still see 4 of the studs of the red brick. So the bumps that are on top are the studs. And I see the 4 that are straight across from each other. So it's a line, not a box. So the red one's going to go under the blue one so that I see the line of 4 studs showing. And then I'm going to take my yellow brick and I'm going to put it on top so that it's perpendicular to the blue brick. Okay, so my red brick's under my blue brick. Let's put my yellow brick on top, perpendicular. And then my magenta brick, my kind of purplish magenta brick, I'm going to put it on the yellow brick so that it covers only the top 2 studs of the yellow brick. Only the top 2 studs of the yellow brick. Okay. And I should still see 6 of the studs. Okay. Now notice I didn't tell you where to put the green brick. I didn't explicitly tell you where to put the green brick in this. So you've got to really think about where that green brick could have gone.
All right, I'm ready.
The only stipulation was it had to touch the blue. Is everybody online ready? Does anybody think they have it?
Let's see.
All
Put
right.
it up there, Jenny. Oh, I'm not quite there.
Oh, it was close.
It's close.
It's close.
Ah, see, I need to be up on top.
Green on top of red beside blue, yeah. So I said that the red was right under the blue, and then I just said the yellow was on top. I never really said much about the green, but by giving these types of instructions that are not very clear, we can really start to understand why it's so important to get very, very clear instructions, I think. And if we just think about a lot of the skills that happen, so everybody in the chat, if you share, you know, someone already shared this idea of following directions and color identification. I mean, think about all the skills that are happening when we do even such a simple activity, critical thinking, absolutely. The listening skills that are happening. What we did, Dyane, just now was basically set the stage for sequencing and understanding why we have to give extremely clear instructions to create a code that, you know, a model or robot is going to follow whenever we connect it with some type of hardware. Because if I wasn't very, very clear on how that green would work, that robot wouldn't really know how to act. So there's quite a lot of computational thinking skills that we can unleash with this and really get into setting some basics and take this, you know, online with students. And we were able to successfully do it online and share that. And now we've unlocked that potential that students could go on their own and work on a good project to further that sequencing, because they really would have understood that concept because they got playful with it in the first place.
So I'm going to put one more out there for you. Okay, friends, those of you in the audience joining us, I would like you to imagine that there is going to be an additional challenge this year of how are we going to reach families. So we're going to go quite deep in all of this, right? How can we engage families while helping them find out what's happening in the classroom? So my question is, or my challenge for you is, can you build a symbol or some sort of representation of how you are going to engage parents? Maybe you're going to use an app that pings them and lets them know what's coming up. Maybe you're going to do some virtual calls. Maybe you're going to try and send postcards home. Whatever it is, I'd like you to build a symbol or just sketch something out. How are you going to engage parents this year? All right, Jenny, there's your challenge. Let's see what you come up with.
I'm so sad that we can't see everyone's video right now, because I think we're going to get some really good ideas out of this one. It is sad. Let's give everybody a second. That's a good one to think about, because there's so many ways that we're going to need to engage our families, I think.
But I think we have some pretty creative teachers in the group
who
are going to come up with some great ideas.
I think so. That's right.
And while they're building, we also have a question from one of our attendees, is hoping that LEGO might have some sort of partnership or answers to help get Legos home to children without having to make the teachers' bank accounts go dry, because that's not something we all can afford to do. Oh, I'm losing my Legos.
Yeah, I think it's a great question that hopefully we'll touch on as we continue to dig in here a little bit. And also, we've tried to be thoughtful about, it's not that every child has a brick in their hand. Unfortunately, we tend to think that, and it's just not true. And so we really want to be thoughtful about how we can provide them with playful ideas and learning that can happen. And so how do we structure lessons that could be with other materials that they might have available? And we really, in some emergency response for some districts, created some lessons that really tried to do that so that the teacher might have bricks, but the kids could certainly do a lot of other great things as well. Oh, it looks like we're getting some answers coming in now.
Very build a team for teams. I love that. I love that idea. What other things did you all create? Can you put it in the chat for us?
Purple tea for teams. I love it. Yeah, yes. Sequencing's hard for students to really dig into. We
class dojo,
tend to think it's
CJ.
easy. Yeah, but we have to spend a lot of time there.
Donor shoes would be a way to get some of these resources for you, Brad. That's a great idea.
Really great.
Tetris interlocking shapes for partnership. That's a great one, Michelle. It's an excellent symbol.
That's good. I thought we could do some good lessons with that. 2
circles with an arrow pointing between them, but that partnerships.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting design, but I was just trying to think, how could I build something that looks, it's a postcard. Just trust me when I tell you that. It's the idea of a postcard. So I have been exploring the idea of these doodle postcards where there's a sketch started and the students have to finish it. So I'm mailing those to students over the summer and asking them on the, like put a little fun fact or something on the back. And then I've got a QR code that the families can scan with a video of me saying, hey friends, I sent this idea home for you. There is a sketch I need you to finish. And then I'd like you to use something like Flipgrid and tell me what you created. The idea of I start building relationships with students even before school begins, so that when we can play, then I have that ability to already have those relationships started. So you could do the same, my friends, where you would challenge them with maybe drawing 3 or 4 bricks and say, can you create something like this? Snap a picture and send it into our classroom space.
I love it.
Put those challenges out there. Oh, you're using blank postcards. I love that.
That's a great, yeah, it's a great idea. So I built mine, Diane. It's interconnected for a reason. So I think that we think on the bottom layer how we connect our families, and then we start to layer that with different ways that we connect with them. But in the end, we also need to think about how they connect with each other.
Oh, I like that idea
too. So that they can share with each other and have a support system there as well.
And the other Jenny Nash put in here as well, that she put in the screen. Jenny, it looks like you've raised your hand. I'm going to give you a chance to unmute. So go ahead and pop in. Is there something you also want to add to that? You should be able to unmute. Yeah.
I think my hand was probably raised from earlier. No, I just said share for a screen, virtual family events. We've posted several challenges for families to complete together on Facebook, and then they posted pictures back to us. That was a lot of fun, really involved the parents and the kids together.
And Jenny Nash, meet Jenny Nash.
Yeah.
They both have the same name.
There's 2 of us out here, folks. Sorry, but we're taking over.
Lots of goodness.
I love it. Thanks, Jenny. Okay. That being said, I also like that Kim created a steering wheel with lots of hands on it, that we're all going to be in on this together.
Yeah. Let's drive it together.
All right. I think we need to put one more challenge out to them before we move on.
Let's do one more challenge after this, Diane, because I think this will get them thinking in a different direction too, because what we're really talking about is how do we unlock this idea of what school's going to look like. and how we keep this playful learning happening in the fall. And you know, we've started really thinking about hybrid learning, because when you think about all the ways we want students interacting normally in the classroom, as you can see in the pictures here, kind of those representations, we really start to ask that question of how do we make sure that can happen in unknown learning situations that are coming in the fall, but the fact that it's going to be very hybrid. Students are going to be in class, students are going to be out of class, learning virtually. Some students are going to be, you know, in class for certain things and out of class for other things. So it's a very mixture approach to how learning is really going to happen. And as I said before, you know, we were really thinking about this from kind of an emergency response before it happened. And so you'll see the URL here that we talked a little bit about earlier, where you can find really great resources about collaboration in your classroom and how you can keep that going, cleaning bricks and keeping them sanitized for everyone, which is important, and just lesson plans that kind of point you to using any materials at hand to still be very creative and playful. We kind of had that approach to start, but Diana, I think now is the time to talk about and challenge everybody to think about, great, but in the fall, how do we shift now and be very purposeful in making sure this playful learning still happens in a really meaningful way, so that we can blend together what can happen remotely and what's happening in the classroom for students. So I don't know what challenge you had in mind, but I'd like to see some ideas come out, around this idea of bringing this hybrid learning to life. So playful learning being so important for our students, having these great experiences, how do we start to put together learning that's going to be happening online, small things like we were just doing, with then bigger things that can happen in the classroom? I'm really keen to hear thoughts and ideas on that.
Does someone want to raise a hand and we'll give you the mic? Throw the question in once more.
So I think we're really thinking, and maybe we need a build challenge to go with it, Diane. Maybe that's what we need, is to build an idea, sketch, draw an idea of how do we have playful learning happening online and connect that with the classroom as well?
Okay, so that's the challenge.
How can we do something online that's going to really drive coming back into the classroom when we're together?
All right, so I'm wondering what I could build for that, a symbol to represent that. How am I going to build playfulness online for the school year, right? So what's coming to mind is, can I design it this way?
Yeah.
Carrie, fraction lesson. We'll have one box of Legos. Carrie, I'm going to actually give you the mic if you're comfortable with that, and have you kind of explain that a little bit more. Should be able to unmute now.
Yep, I just did. Can you hear me?
Great. You bet. Go for it.
Hey, thank you, ladies. It's great to be here.
Glad to have you. I keep drawing
So yeah, I'm just thinking, I am a library media specialist. I teach 900 students K-5.
Oh, wow.
The idea of splitting my Legos is probably like every kid would get 3. But as a classroom teacher, if you have a box of Legos in your room, and if you have the opportunity at the beginning of the school year, or if it's some sort of hybrid thing, you could, help the students divide that box between them. If you know you're going to be able to stay in the classroom, you could divide it and then have, baggies or whatever you have, and have them keep that with their classroom materials. For those schools who are saying, we can't share items, can't share materials. I don't like seeing all the playful activities and objects that we have in our rooms just sit on a shelf.
Yeah.
So I'd much rather see them split up and have them in baggies, and just tell the kids, keep them in your backpack when you go home at night. So if it were to happen that we don't come back, at least everybody does have some Legos. So when you are at home, you would be able to do an activity with all of your students. They would each have some to work with. That's just all that I was thinking about with that.
It's a great idea. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And absolutely, I see us reimagining school supplies a little bit this year. Instead of just having glue and scissors, I think you're going to have some manipulatives that students need to use. Michelle, go ahead, and I'm going to unmute you, Michelle, if you want to share just a little bit about what you were thinking.
Okay. You know, I think that Legos can work with a myriad of other supplies too. I really think to graph paper, I know that sounds funny, but where's Lego paper? So I'm thinking in a world where we may not be able to get Legos to every child, especially those that are in a setting that we may not be able to access. So can we use paper to augment this? Can we have them draw in the same thing? It's not exactly like it, but I think it offers also some design thinking, and it offers some drafting capability and some other STEM activities. And so it makes me think, you know, how do I draw a Lego board? How do I give them pieces to build in paper beyond just the regular Lego piece? And I am all about checkout. I'm also all about the neighborhood next door groups who are giving away Legos, which is rare, but sometimes you find those moms who do, especially if you put out an all call that says you need them for school. And that's how we've been able to get them. So, you know, that's a thought. So put it out there and say, who's got them in the closet? Another kid needs to play. Can you share? And that happens.
That's beautiful. Great. Thank you, my friend.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I think it's a great point, because I mean, it does go back to even what we're doing right here today. If I have the materials as the teacher and I'm able to interact with you and show it, if you can at the very least be drawing it or interacting with something similar, we can still keep the learning going. We can still keep it playful.
And I love this. Marcia, I'm going to give you the rights to talk as well. If you want to tell a little bit more about your Meet the Teacher night. I love this plan. You should be able to unmute now.
Oh, I just thought perhaps so kids feel like they are part of their family while they were in the classroom, that prior to the Meet the Teacher night, ask them to, as a family, build something simple from home materials, might be Legos, might be something else, and then they can bring it to the Meet the Teacher night and display it with a picture of the family. And you know, if kids are feeling uncomfortable, they can look over, oh, there's my family. Might make them feel good.
I love that idea.
Thank you, Marcia.
That's incredible.
And what I came up with, and it, you know, I'm not a gamer by any means, but I kind of came up with the idea that there would be this gaming device. And how we can do family game nights, family STEAM challenges, even in a virtual setting like we have here, where we can put a problem out there of, can you design a piece to code? Can you design something to build or engineer, and challenge all the families to do that? You could do that very simply with running a call very similar to this Zoom call, inviting families to a virtual Meet the Teacher night, if that is something that your community needs to do. And then we build and create together. I think it'd be fantastic, especially if you challenged those families to snap pictures of their item and then push that out on social media so you can talk about what we built and what you built. So definitely one of those ideas.
That's so funny, Dyane. Mine's very similar, because I built the idea of start with something simple, don't overcomplicate it, and see where students can take it. Right? It's that same idea. Let's come together with something a simple challenge that we can give students, and then just really see where they can take that, and then incorporating their family into adding to it is incredible, because then they're just learning how to get feedback and incorporate new ideas. It's still a great learning opportunity.
And it can be very simple. I'm a language arts gal by trade, but you know, if we're going to ask students to think about using these as visuals to go to your thinking. So what is one thing you're excited about for school this year? Maybe you're just excited that you'll get to have some new school supplies. What's the second thing you're excited about? Add on to that. So not just school supplies. What are you going to do with those school supplies? I'm going to create something like art from my grandma. Okay, let's add on to that. What else could you do with that art to help grandma feel special? Well, maybe I could write her a letter. You see what I'm saying? And we just keep building upon those pieces, and it gives that tactile element to their thinking. So something
right.
along those ideas as well.
And they all have a story to tell. We just need to help them unlock it a little bit.
Exactly, exactly. Why don't we move on to the next slide?
Okay, great. There's so many good ideas coming in. But I think it's all really relevant when we start thinking about all the ways that classrooms could look. So just in our brainstorms, Diane, I mean, we've come up with lots of ideas here about what this hybrid model could look like. And, you know, we're really thinking of the word hybrid because it might be blended learning. It might be full virtual learning. It might be in classroom one day and out of classroom the next day, whether we're touching base virtually or not. So I think we just don't know. And we also just don't know for how long that might last. Will we be back to school fully next year or not? And so I think we have to be ready to kind of attack all of these models and think about what that learning is going to look like for our students.
Indeed. My favorite word is the nimbleness that we're going to need. So flexibility we've heard about in education, but we're going to be nimble. We have to be able to move very quickly in some of these situations. So yeah, I definitely think that we have to be ready to turn on a dime if needed. So why don't you explain the infographic here just a little bit?
Yeah, so we're really thinking about kind of the 5E model for how we might design our learning for students and how do we engage them and then explore, get very creative, very playful, unlock the ability for them to explain what they've done and really kind of connect with that information so it becomes knowledge to them. Further that, elaborate on it, push them to use it in a different way, and then let them evaluate their learning. So students evaluating their own learning as part of this. So really unlocking the 5 E's of learning and thinking about what that means and what that could look like in all of these different ways. So with Mr. Great Hat, you know, we're kind of in a traditional classroom. This is what we've done in the past. So they're able to kind of do all of these parts and pieces there in the classroom. But then when we start looking at the hybrid models with Ms. Beaker, we start really thinking about, well, parts of these things could happen easily at home or remotely through virtual learning or other options. So we could have that engaged video maybe that students are watching and preparing. And then when they are able to be in the classroom, really come together and have deep exploration, get hands-on, get project-based, really be together and have those discussions. And then we can send them home to do more elaboration, to write about it, to unlock that story and to evaluate their learning. And so, you know, then we're really blending that learning together into what could be a blended classroom. But Ms. Smoke, I put you in here as blending with extensions. So some of it could be extending the learning. You know, we're engaging in the classroom, but then sending that home and extending that engagement at home. We're exploring the classroom, sending that home, so that it's constantly coming back and forth and they're able to unlock the exploration with families and involve others so that it can continue as a loop, whether you're in school or out of school. And then with Mr. Stickman, of course, you know, we're fully remote. So we're all online. We're thinking about now how to unlock the same type of learning, but in a virtual environment through both face-to-face kind of synchronous and through LMS and use of chat and things like that. So we've kind of really been thinking about all of these different options, and it's a little overwhelming, you know, when you look at all of them to think about how to do that. But how can we really be thoughtful about making sure this happens and playful learning doesn't get lost? That's what I'm concerned about.
And I think that we set it up that our class time does not have to exist in the actual school time period, right?
Exactly.
And you know, I come, like I said, from middle school language arts. So I would see students between 45 minutes to 90. We were blocked, so I had a 90-minute block with students. But it could be as very little of me creating a very short stop motion animation of just some very quick photographs, merging them together into an animated GIF. Yes, I say GIF, but I know it's supposed to be GIF. And, you know, putting those pieces together with me narrating over the top of it. And it could be, friends, I can't wait to see what you're going to do tomorrow. And I've created this short little task or challenge that I want you to watch and see if you can create with it. Watch this, sketch some ideas down, and when we see each other in a live call or when we come together on Tuesday, we're all in class, I want to see what you come up with. So I'm setting their learning up to think through these things before we get together. Mm-hmm. And the other element could be that we might meet on Wednesday when everybody is at home. Maybe that's our cleaning day of our school. Like, I'll see you guys at 1 o'clock. Can't wait. I'm excited to see what you come up with. your sculptures ready or your drawings ready. And if you did some bricks with some other materials in the house, I can't wait to see what you have. And then finally, I'm going to send you on your own, and you're going to do some reflecting. I want you to snap pictures of the process and what you created. What were you thinking? What gave you ideas or inspiration? It's the idea that it learns anywhere, anytime. That's what's exciting about the possibility of blended learning, and that there is more time to think. Don't get the opportunity to reflect in the classroom very often because we're moving to the next thing and the next.
That's right.
We now have time for children to go, I wonder what I think about this. And I've got some time to think about it. And then as long as I've got my sketches ready, 1 o'clock tomorrow in class, I'm going to be ready. So I think we have some really extraordinary opportunities to innovate this year.
You know, and I think it's really great because what you're saying is the fact that we need to reflect in the beginning and at the end. And I think sometimes it's, you know, we've prompted you with something and got you thinking a little bit, but you didn't get really good time to think up front and to really think and reflect before you explore. Imagine the questions that students are going to ask and be ready to tackle because they have that time. And then reflecting again at the end to connect it all back and know, oh, I really get this. I really understand this after getting that exploration time. I think it's very powerful. It's very exciting.
I'm excited for it. So I'm curious, what are other thoughts in our group here today that are you're thinking through with the idea of a blended environment or a hybrid environment with these things? Carrie, she's a rock star. I have to tell you, I'm a super fan of Carrie, doing some Minecraft and virtual learning. Why don't I give you the mic again and you can explain that just a little bit more, Carrie, if you don't mind, for all of us. There you go, friend.
Oh, thank you. Diane, I love your excitement and your energy. It is so fun.
Learning is a blast. We got to play.
Oh, it is. It is. And the kids know that, and they feel that, learn that energy too. So our district realized that we had Minecraft for education. It was free. It didn't cost us anything. And we are one-to-one with iPads. And before we left in March, I was able to introduce it to the students, kindergarten through 5th grade in library class. And we just started with some ideas of create something that would make the world a better place, or make something in your community, something that we don't have that you would like to see, or an old historic building that you would like to recreate, redesign in Minecraft. So that's what they got beforehand. And then once COVID started and we were all at home, we used Microsoft Teams, and I was able to create a channel, and I had a grade level team. So all the students were on the teams, but one channel was just called Minecraft. And the students continued to create those things that I started in library class, but then they just started creating their own inventions, and they were helping each other, and they were giving each other tips, and they were taking the lead in building and designing and making things. And it was just really great. Like, it was a time, it was a space for them to play. It was a space for them to collaborate with peers. And it didn't have to be led by me. And I think that's really important for our students to have that in a virtual environment. And I know I learned something about one of my students that I didn't know. He kept creating battlefields, like the boats and the ships that were in the harbor, and he said this was this battle, whatever. I had no idea that meant so much to him, but you knew that was a passion of his, and he did a lot of research to make sure that he had them the right way. And it was just really exciting to see them share their passions with each other. So it was just great seeing that. So that was one thing that we were able to use to continue that playful spirit in a virtual way.
And that's perfect, because that's where we bring in the project-based learning piece, right? Yep. Is that now you have time for students to think and process and test out. And I guarantee you that child did more research because he was intrinsically motivated to dig into that content than he would have ever been if I said, all right, we got 40 minutes in class, we got you settled, or we got 20 minutes to play, friends, create. There's no time to set that mindset up. So this is an opportunity for our students to really go dig deeper and process things through. Michelle, I'm going to hand it back over to you for a moment. Can you talk to me about the historical things that you're having the students do with Legos?
I have a bunch of geeks that are working on a interactive project with littles. And so they're actually taking historic photos and rebuilding historic places and posting them on their social media Instagram stories to see how many hashtags they can like or get likes with. The Smarty Pants are also Snapchatting it and got the attention of the National Park Service and the Historic Preservation Team, and got one of the gals to give them a challenge to rebuild 30 of them this fall and snap it. It's kind of based on the National Park Service Lego guys, if you follow them online, the same gig.
Cool.
So never give a child Legos, a social media account, and a camera. Because
you meant always give them.
they reinvented the whole thing. It's been an ongoing conversation
Fantastic.
this summer. And so we are going to do some research with primary sources and engineering and put it right into the classroom in a STEM setting. So there you go. It's student driven. I would not have thought about Snapchat Legos, but there you go. So
that's the goosebump moment, right?
Yeah.
The kids have taken over, and gosh, they'll get so much more out of that now. It's amazing.
Perfect. So hopefully we've given you some ideas, at least get your wheels turning, that Legos don't have to be an isolated element just in one part of your day. These can be tools to use again and again, which we already knew that, but to help us go deeper into content. So I'm excited. I don't know. I really am excited for the possibilities that what we get to do with students this year. All right, let's jump into the next one. Jenny?
Yeah, and I think, it's that idea of just, we know all these great things and how to do all these wonderful things in our classroom. Let's just make sure we keep it going. Let's just have all these great ideas to make sure we get it in the students' hands no matter where they are.
Agreed. Michelle, you just put it there. We have real future possibilities. We just need to take the risk and make it happen.
Yep, that's right.
And I think we can challenge students up a little bit to say, let's take your handful of bricks, or if you've got a set at home, or if we've given some to you from the classroom, which will be something that I hope we can do often. But if we send something home, then maybe go into your pantry and pull out a stack of beans and pull out some crackers. I don't know, take the elements that you have at home and add to this in order to build something even more innovative. Absolutely. In those spaces. But crackers might be a little messy, but you get the idea.
That's mom's problem.
Covers all of those things.
But I love what Michelle said, right? We just start the challenge. We make something simple and then let them really make the challenge. Let the kids have that ownership over it. What a great way to do, and they'll think about their materials they have already and how they can bring those to life.
And when we play, we're building community. I cannot help but imagine, Michelle, that your students, as they're building these Snapchat Lego elements, that when they're playing and manipulating and creating, they can't wait to share that with someone else who is involved in that same shared experience. Absolutely. And that's just part of this whole idea of purposeful play. If we design for play, for students to collaborate and connect, then we're setting them up for those SEL skills that we know we have to start the year off. More than ever, it is important that we start with that. So Legos could be your gateway to some really great community building.
Absolutely. And just to be inspirational, to get kids excited and be inspirational is always so wonderful. So I'm just a little cognizant, Dyane, that we're almost out of time. I want to make sure that we also answer any questions. I know playtime goes too quickly. Absolutely. But we can continue afterwards and dig in if we want to.
But if
I
you
want
have
to make sure we answer any questions.
Yeah, we'll unmute and give you the mic. So what questions can we answer? Or maybe you just have so many wheels turning.
Or just another great idea you want to share.
People are in deep thought.
Yeah. deep typing.
Can we get Legos that don't come in a kit? That's the question, Jenny.
There are plenty of ways to get bricks. Just get bricks and you can take them out of the kit and turn them into whatever you want. There are lots of teachers that you know, the toolboxes that stack, and they just sort them that way and have bricks available, bricks, axles, gears, all kinds of different pieces available for students, so that they can make and create whatever they want. Many teachers just believe, let's have the tools available and kids will create.
And then Michelle's asking for that link that we had earlier, maybe, where we can go collaborate with more hybrid ideas online with Lego, if there's some other opportunities and all of that.
This link will get you started with some ideas and have the resource for hygiene and cleaning, and then keep an eye out for updates and additional ideas that'll be coming out. And then the other thing I would invite everybody to do is when you go actually to our main web page, which is justlegoeducation.com, you'll see the ability to join our new online community. So we've got a great teacher community that's launched, and you know, lots of great ideas, of course, being shared there for just different ways to engage students in the fall, different ways to engage students, period, lesson plan ideas. So that's another really great place to get those hybrid ideas going.
And especially if you work with littles, because there's even ideas in there for pre-K babies.
Oh,
all the way up to our high school kids. So
play,
it's a whole lifetime of Legos.
That's right. Play is the foundation of learning. We believe that it starts all the way in the beginning.
All right, my friends, I think we're out of time, but we want to thank you for joining us today. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. Our contact information is on the NSTOY website, or if you need us to put our emails in the chat, we can do that for you as well. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you had some fun today.
Yes, and I challenge everyone to keep playing today. See what else you can create.
Oh, and maybe even snap a couple of things with our NSTOY 2020 hashtag.
Oh, absolutely.
Built with your Legos. I'd love to see that.
That would be amazing, especially those planes and helicopters to fly us off somewhere great.
Oh, indeed. Oh,
Into our new
Lisa, so great
adventure.
to have you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carrie. Thanks, Michelle. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. Thanks so much for playing with us.